Stardust on the outskirts. The desert sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the quiet town of La Luna, Arizona. Leonora Hayes, an award-winning actress known for her fierce roles and undeniable talent, found herself driving aimlessly, searching for refuge from the storm both outside and within. Just off the desolate highway, the raindrops splattered against her car, masking the turmoil of emotions that tugged at her heart. Meanwhile, Claire Morgan, the owner of the Galaxy Cafe, stood in her diner, rocking on her heels while glancing at the clock. The last of the dinner crowd had trickled out, and the chaotic aftermath of her breakup buzzed in her mind. The arguments and accusations had played on repeat since her girlfriend had walked out with a waste of time and disillusionment, leaving Claire to shoulder the burden of her dreams and aspirations alone. Desperate for a change of scenery and a box of memories to unravel, she decided to head back to her car. But as she prepared to leave the cafe, a sudden jolt disrupted her thoughts. The realization that her old sedan wouldn't start, the engine protesting with a series of sputters. "Just great," Claire muttered, resting her forehead against the steering wheel in despair. "Who needs a car anyway?" She closed her eyes, drawing in a breath, surrendering to the universe. "I'll just work on something in the cafe." As if summoned from her thoughts, brilliant headlights cut through the desert night while a sleek luxury SUV pulled into the parking lot. With a mix of curiosity and anticipation, Claire wiped her hands on a dish towel and stepped outside. The driver emerged, shaking an umbrella as she stepped onto the pavement, her stunning silhouette glowing under the parking lot lights. "Excuse me," the woman called out, an elegant accent lacing her words. "Is there anywhere nearby to eat?" Claire blinked, momentarily caught off guard by the striking figure with fiery red hair and piercing blue eyes. It took a moment for the recognition to sink in. "Wait a minute, are you Leonora Hayes?" The actress smiled, a genuine warm smile that chased the shadows away. "I'm afraid so, though I'm actually hoping to have dinner and find some shelter for the night." Claire's heart raced. "Of course. The Galaxy Cafe is still open. At least I can whip something up for you. We're a bit limited, but I'll do my best." "Thanks. I'd really appreciate it," Leonora replied, her exhaustion momentarily forgotten as they made their way inside. As the door swung open, Claire flipped on the neon sign above the counter and wiped the remaining tables. She suddenly felt the flutter of excitement unlike anything she had experienced during her fleeting dalliances. "What brings you out here in all this weather?" Leonora chuckled lightly, sinking into a booth with an air of poise. "Just driving through the desert, enjoying my rare day off. It appears I took a turn in the wrong direction. Haven't seen a diner like this in ages. It's charming." Claire couldn't fight the blush that crept up her cheeks. "It's kind of a labor of love for me. I took over a few years ago and have been trying to make it successful. Mostly, I want it to be a place where people feel at home." Leonora's expression softened, a hint of something deeper evident in her eyes. "You're doing just that. It's cozy and inviting." As Claire busied herself preparing a simple meal while keeping one eye on her unexpected guest, she felt an odd sense of calm settle around her. Leonora had an undeniable aura, almost magnetic, that made Claire feel at ease, despite the circumstances of the actress's fame. "Is there something you'd recommend?" Leonora asked, voice laced with curiosity. Claire grinned as she plated a generous portion of her signature chili and cornbread. "This is the best in town. Trust me." Sitting across from the table, Leonora forced a smile through her exhaustion, quietly savoring her first bite. "You weren't exaggerating. It's amazing. Better than anything I've had at those high-end restaurants." "Really?" Claire replied, her heart swelling with pride. "I've always believed food should be made with love to be good. People can taste it. Then you must put in a lot of love," Leonora said, locking eyes with Claire. The comfortable silence between them deepened as they shared stories from their lives, the struggles of the film industry, and the challenges of running a business. With each laugh and anecdote, the notion of age seemed trivial, evaporating in the warm glow of the cafe. Claire could barely believe she was seated across from her childhood idol, but even more astonishing was the chemistry brewing between them, a friendship blossoming amidst challenging times. As the rain began to let up outside, Claire gathered her courage to speak, her heart pounding. "I know it's odd to say, but meeting you has been a bright spot in an otherwise dark few weeks. I've had to let go of a lot, my ex, my plans, and it's disheartening." Leonora raised an eyebrow, her expression understanding. "Sometimes those losses push us toward brighter paths, the ones we didn't see coming. You should never underestimate the unexpected." Before Claire could reply, the emergency alarm on Leonora's phone buzzed to life, shattering the intimate moment. She quickly glanced down. "My publicist. I should probably check in. It might be a good idea to prepare for the inevitable paparazzi, too." Claire's heart sank, the reality of the situation crashing over her. "Right, I didn't think of that." Leonora smiled gently, her gaze steady. "I'll deal with it. I've had my share of exposure to the limelight, and I'm not keen on letting it dampen a good meal like this. Can we still talk?" "Of course," Claire stammered, trying to collect her thoughts. "I'd love to keep chatting. Thank you for being so open. Most people would run in the opposite direction." The actress chuckled softly, her presence filling the small space. "Life's too short for running away when it could lead to something unexpectedly beautiful." For the rest of the night, they shared stories and laughter, their lives intertwined in a way neither had anticipated. As Leonora retold her experiences with the ups and downs of the film industry, Claire listened, captivated. She realized that in this tranquil diner, they were simply two women navigating insecurities together, finding warmth in their vulnerabilities. Hours passed, and as the wind shifted outside, Claire's fear of the actress's fame faded, replaced by the realization that while they came from different worlds, their hearts beat similarly. Their connection held promise far beyond the boundaries of time and reputation. But eventually, the realities of the outside world intruded again, pulsing flashes illuminating the cafe. Journalists had arrived, eager to capture a story, and the atmosphere shifted instantly. Leonora clasped Claire's hand across the table, a gesture of solidarity in the face of the impending chaos. "Stay with me for a moment. Let's deal with this together." As she stood, ready to confront the media storm outside, Claire felt her spirit lift. In that moment, she knew that no matter the challenges that lay ahead, she had discovered a core of strength that neither time nor fame could shake, a friendship that held the potential for something stunning and new. A deliciously uncertain future awaited them in the warm glow of the Galaxy Cafe, as bright and full of possibilities as the stars they could barely glimpse through the encroaching clouds. The noise outside grew louder as Leonora stood at the cafe entrance, her presence commanding attention in a way that felt both familiar and surreal to Claire. The flashing lights battered against the glass, almost drowning out the buzzing silence that filled the diner. Claire's heart raced, not with trepidation but with anticipation, an urge to confront this unpredictability together. "Remember, I'm just a person," Leonora called back to Claire, a smile playing on her lips, "and they're just doing their job." "I will if you will," Claire replied, her nerves calming slightly at Leonora's determination. She took a deep breath as Leonora turned to the throng of reporters waiting eagerly to capture any morsel of information. Outside, the snow had started to sprinkle the ground softly, snuffing out the chaos around the cafe as Leonora raised her hand, signaling for the reporters to quiet down. "Leonora, are you okay? What brings you to La Luna?" one reporter shouted over the noise. "I'm just enjoying a rare evening off," she replied with a charismatic warmth, the way she'd always seen her favorite actors handle the media storms. The questions exploded from the crowd like fireworks, each camera flash cutting through the dim light of the early evening. Claire couldn't hear everything, but she watched as Leonora expertly navigated the interactions with grace and poise. But there was a truthfulness embedded in her words that shone through the glamour. "And who's the charming woman inside with you?" Another voice rang out, clearly fishing for a scoop. Claire's stomach flipped, but she found solace in the way Leonora's smile widened. "I'm sure you've heard of her," Leonora said playfully, causing Claire to blush. "Claire Morgan, the culinary queen of La Luna." The reporters shifted their attention to Claire, and for a heartbeat, she felt as if the sun had settled its warmth directly on her shoulders. Leonora stepped back from the door, motioning for Claire to join her, inviting her into the spotlight. With her heart thudding loudly in her chest, Claire walked forward, past the lingering observers who pressed against the glass. As she stepped into the light, the cameras adjusted, and the sea of flashing tiles reflected the intense light of the restaurant behind them. "Claire," one reporter called out, "what's it like to serve one of Hollywood's biggest stars?" Claire fumbled for words, overwhelmed yet exhilarated. I just did what anyone would do. Serve good food to a friend." "Friend?" The reporter's tone shifted, excitedly capitalizing on the idea. Leonora interjected, her hand finding Claire's in a protective gesture. "Trust me, she's more than just a friend. She's an incredible chef, and her passion is contagious." With that tiny spark of support from Leonora, Claire found her footing. "I'm always inspired by people who follow their passions. Anyone who creates something beautiful, be it food or art." The reporters murmured their appreciation, and Claire found herself glancing at Leonora, who looked unexpectedly content. This moment, in the heart of the storm, felt like a turning point, both professionally and personally. "Well, let's not keep you in the dark," Leonora said, glancing back at Claire. "If you'll excuse us, we'd love to continue our dinner and save the cafe." That simple declaration earned a flurry of excited shouts from the crowd, and both women laughed at the absurdity of it all. Returning to their cozy booth, the noise of the outside world faded once more, leaving behind the comforting hum of the cafe. As they settled back in, the moment transformed into something more intimate. "Thank you for that," Claire said softly, pulling her mug closer as warmth flooded her. "You didn't have to include me in all that." Leonora shrugged, her demeanor relaxed as her fingers absent-mindedly played with her hair. "It felt right. You should be proud of your work. And besides, you deserve to bask in the glow, as you so rightly put it." Claire watched her with a mixture of admiration and confusion. "Why are you so different than what I expected? You're so grounded, so easy to talk to." "Perhaps because I'm just trying to figure out who I am beyond the roles people put me in," Leonora said, voice reflective. "Fame is a double-edged sword. You get a taste of magic, but it often comes with a heavy price." "I can't even begin to understand," Claire admitted, her curiosity piqued. "But I do know what it's like to feel the weight of expectations." Leonora leaned in, her eyes connecting deeply with Claire's. "And yet here we are, two women navigating our paths. Age, career, fame, it doesn't matter. What matters is the connection, the authenticity. This," she gestured between them, "is the stuff that real life is made of." Claire's heart soared at Leonora's insight. The walls that had fortified her heart began to crack, allowing new dreams and possibilities to seep in. "I didn't think I could categorize my life as interesting, but maybe it is. If this is a new chapter, I want to embrace it." "Then let's embrace it together," Leonora said, her smile reassuring. "You're not alone in this journey." As that sentiment hung between them, they shared laughter and stories well into the night. The outside world may have been fraught with challenges, but inside the Galaxy Cafe, they created their own rhythms, leaning into the promise of hope and courage as they uncorked their dreams one story at a time. Hours slipped away, and the noise of the diner faded into the cadence of their conversations, turning each moment into something extraordinary. The snow continued to fall softly outside, blanketing the town in white, a reminder of the beauty that could come from unexpected moments. At last, as the neon lights flickered and the stars began to twinkle through the clouds, Claire felt a sense of belonging, as though she and Leonora were destined to cross paths. It was a whirlwind of emotions, full of uncertainty, but fearlessness flourished in their hearts. As they prepared to close up for the night, Claire couldn't help but steal glances at Leonora, who had transformed from a fantasy on the silver screen to a tangible presence. They were simply two women, connected by dreams, facing the unpredictable tapestry of life together, a friendship bound by shared experiences and the promise of possibility. In the chaos of La Luna's sanctuary, under a canopy of stars that began to break through the clouds, Claire felt optimistic about the days ahead. She knew that whatever awaited them, new challenges, new dreams, they would face it side by side, finding strength in each other amidst the transient slip of life. As the last of the customers filtered out of the Galaxy Cafe, Claire and Leonora found themselves alone amid the warm glow of the neon lights. The laughter that had filled the air now gave way to a comfortable silence, punctuated only by the gentle clattering of dishes as Claire began to tidy up. "You really know how to make an evening unforgettable," Leonora said, leaning against the counter with an air of casual elegance. Her presence felt almost like a soft melody in the quiet space. Claire chuckled lightly, her heart still racing from the night. "I can't believe you managed to turn a simple dinner into a press event. I was just trying to serve a meal. It's not every day that a Hollywood actress ends up in my diner," Claire said with mock seriousness, raising an eyebrow. "I'm surprised I didn't faint when you walked in." Leonora's laughter rang through the empty space, rich and captivating. "Believe me, I was just as surprised when I learned I had to stay in a small town for the night, but I think fate has a funny way of leading you to the right people." "Fate, huh?" Claire teased, wiping the last of the tables. "So you're saying I'm destined to serve meals to famous actresses?" "Not just meals," Leonora replied, her tone shifting slightly. "We're both here in this moment for a reason. Don't underestimate that." Claire chose that moment to turn her gaze toward the window, an authentic smile playing on her lips as she gazed at the falling snow outside, shrouding the world in a soft, dreamlike glow. "Well, if fate has a hand in this, I suppose I should thank it for bringing you here. This was definitely the highlight of my week." Leonora stepped closer, her voice softening. "I truly mean it when I say you've captured my heart in ways I didn't expect. You create magic here, Claire. Your passion radiates." Claire felt a rush of warmth spread through her. Was she really that special? Or was this just the actor's charm at work? "You're not just saying that because I fed you, right?" "No." Leonora shook her head firmly, a smile on her lips. "I mean it." They shared a moment of silence, and Claire's world shifted again. The intimacy bubbling between them was electric, the kind that brushed against the walls of something beautiful and profound. She had fought for her dreams to open a successful cafe, and yet here was Leonora, a real-life muse, spinning her reality in ways she never imagined. "Can I ask you something?" Claire ventured, her heart pounding slightly, as she grabbed a kitchen towel and wiped her hands. "What's it like being famous? Is it everything you dreamed it would be?" Leonora drew in a deep breath, contemplating. "There are perks for sure, but fame can also feel isolating. People see you, but they don't really know you. They see the gloss and glamour, not the struggles behind the scenes." "That makes sense," Claire replied as she moved toward the coffee station. "You're not only an actress, you're a person too. A person with dreams and fears." "Yes, exactly. And it's refreshing to talk to someone who sees that. So many people treat me like a character instead of the real Leonora." she said, her eyes locking onto Claire's with an intensity that left Claire breathless. Then what does the real Leonora want? Claire dared to ask, leaning forward slightly, entranced by her guest. With a playful glint in her eyes, Leonora pondered for a moment. I want freedom. To explore beyond the constraints of roles. I want to find joy and meaning in life without the weight of expectations. Maybe I'm looking for someone to experience that with me. The words hung in the air, a tender invitation that resonated with Claire on depth she had not anticipated. I know what that feels like, Claire said quietly, her heart racing. After my breakup, I've been trying to reclaim that sense of freedom. I thought I lost my passion, but then tonight happened. Leonora stepped closer, allowing the warmth of their connection to wrap around them like a blanket. Getting lost is part of the process, Claire. It's in losing ourselves that we often find what was always meant to be ours, a new beginning. Is that what you believe? Claire asked, her curiosity piqued. That a new beginning can come from losing ourselves? Leonora nodded slowly, her gaze earnest. Absolutely. We can reshape our lives, shed the remnants that no longer serve us, and embrace the beauty of starting again. Just then, the phone behind the counter rang, breaking the delicate moment. Claire jumped slightly as she rushed to answer it, her heart still fluttering. Galaxy Cafe, how can I help you? Well, look who it is. My favorite diner owner. I hope you've been keeping busy during this quiet season, came a familiar voice on the other end. The irreplaceable, cheerful sound of Claire's best friend Lila. I have my hands full, Lila, Claire replied, her tone brightening. I just had one of the most unexpected nights. Is that so? Sounds like the gossip of the town. Fill me in, Lila urged eagerly, clearly intrigued. I met an actress, Leonora Hayes, Claire said softly, glancing at Leonora, who was now busy looking over a menu like it was an old friend. Oh wow, is she as beautiful in person? I need every detail. Lila's voice echoed through the receiver, full of excitement. Yeah, she's absolutely stunning, Claire confessed, warmth spreading through her cheeks. But she's more than that. There's so much depth in her words. All right, I need to meet this woman. Let me get a flight out there, Lila exclaimed, her laughter contagious. As Claire wrapped up the call, she couldn't help but smile. You have a dedicated fan already, she teased Leonora, who was now leaning against the counter, visibly amused. I'd say I'm quite lucky, Leonora replied with a glimmer in her eyes. Who knew you had such a talented support system? As the night continued, they cleared up the cafe, their bond deepening over the mundane tasks as they shared stories of their lives. Claire recounted moments from her childhood, her journey toward opening the diner, and the joys and tribulations of cooking for others. Leonora shared snippets of her acting journey, from her first auditions to the highs and lows of being in the public eye. With laughter and understanding, they found solace in each other's company, the night turning into an intimate bonding experience that felt timeless. The walls of the diner, once just a backdrop for Claire's ambitions, now echoed with the rhythm of two hearts daring to intertwine. Finally, as the last plate was washed, and the neon lights dimmed in the cafe, Leonora leaned back against the counter, her expression thoughtful. You know, Claire, I think what you've created here is special. This isn't just a diner. It's a space where people gather, feel at home, and find joy. I appreciate that, Leonora, Claire said, her heart swelling with pride. I've always wanted to create something where people could escape, no matter their struggles. Leonora took a deep breath, her gaze sincere. May I ask you something personal? Of course, Claire replied, intrigued. Do you believe in second chances? Not just in love, but in life. Claire paused, contemplating. Ido, I think we all deserve that opportunity to rewrite our stories. What we go through shapes us, but it doesn't have to define us. A smile broke across Leonora's face, warm and genuine. Then let's embrace our second chances together. Let's see where this wild journey takes us. In that moment, a rush of hope hope cascaded through Claire. Underneath the glowing neon lights of the Galaxy Cafe, two souls, once shadowed by doubt and heartbreak, had begun to weave a new narrative that promised an adventure unlike anything either had ever experienced. As the last snowflakes fell outside, they embraced for the first time, two women ready to face whatever the world had in store, hand in hand, with the magic of their new friendship warming their hearts against the chill of the world. From that moment forward, they would discover together that Stardust was found not only in the spotlight, but in the quiet moments shared, in laughter, and in the shared vulnerability of opening up to the unknown.